Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back. It is me, BrittReacts, and today we're going to react to a clip from the Joe Rogan podcast. This is Joe and Oliver Anthony discussing the ICE raids, protests, and immigration. Let's see what they have to say.
The Joe Rogan experience.
That's the thing. That's the thing I always take away from it is just like, damn, dude, if we could just get organized even for like 2 or 3 years, we could just fix everything. Like, the people really do have the power, at least right now, for a short window of time. But we really do. I mean,
but people have to understand that we are all in this together, and that there's organizations that want to drive us apart. And the way to work out our differences is having conversations and negotiations and figuring out how to work it out. It's not lighting cop cars on fire. Like, this is,
Yeah. But the spirit of those, like, not to defend any of that crap, but that rebellious nature in us is important too, though. It just has to be directed correctly.
Right. You shouldn't be burning Waymos while holding a Mexican flag, trying not to get sent back to Mexico. I mean, you're confusing the fuck out of me, dog. Like, who is your oppressor? Is it the electric car? Is it the country which you want to stay, but you're holding a flag of another country?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why are you wearing a mask? Are you proud of this? Do you not want to get arrested? What are we doing? Are you scared of COVID? Like, I want to know.
Well, it goes.
That's a really good point. I have tried to steer clear of what's actually happening right now with the raids and the protests and stuff like that as far as my content, just because I think I got to draw a line somewhere. And y'all know I do not fancy being divisive or like leaving space for people to just breed ugliness. And whether you agree with it or not, it is a problem. Like, we are, as a country, in the midst of something really problematic, no matter what side you're on. We are not a united country, and we are not in a good place, like, at all. And so I don't want to fan the fire or add anything to it. With that being said, this popped up on my timeline, and I've reacted to quite a few of Mr. Anthony's songs. It's Oliver Anthony, right? Not Anthony Oliver. Oliver Anthony. I'm about to Google it because I'm like psyching myself out because he has 2 first names. Hold on. Oliver Anthony. Okay. And so I felt this was you guys know, I do not have a problem with Joe Rogan. A lot of you do. I also don't take anyone's word on the internet as fact or matter of fact. All I do is listen to things, watch things, react to them for your entertainment. And then it also gives me the opportunity to go and educate myself more off camera. So for the people who are like, how can you don't think everything he's saying is right? It's like, I'm not, but I can react and react to this piece of content, not saying it is 100% correct. Anyway, I agree. I think protesting there's nothing wrong with protesting, especially if you're doing it in a legal way. I think protesting is a good thing. I think it was created for good. I think when we start to see riots and total chaos and destruction, it is completely counterproductive to the cause. And now you've taken the light away from the cause you're trying to help, and you've created this chaos and confusion. And there is no good that comes from chaos and confusion. So it is, to me, all counterproductive. I do agree with Oliver when he says, like, but the fire inside of the people who are protesting is a good thing. I think we should all feel passion and a fire to at least use our voice when we see injustice or something we don't agree with. It is when the fire turns into like just crime that there is a problem. So we got to find a way to harness that and redirect it, like he said, and use it for good and not for bad. And there's so much of it being used in that way. And again, it's like I said recently in an Angry Cops video, like, it's always like one or two or just a small group of bad seeds that make it bad for everybody. There are people out there that go and make posters, take off of work, and they really just want to protest. They want to use their voice because it's the only way a lot of Americans feel really hopeless right now. They don't know what else to do other than use their voice, and they go out there with the intention to just do that and be a part of the movement. And then you have the groups of people who either they have bad intentions. Their intentions are to go out there and cause chaos, or they get so worked up and fired up that they lose control of themselves. Neither one is okay. So yeah, I do think I agree too. Like, if we could just get like 3 to 5 years of good kumbaya cleanup, we could get this back on track. We could get it back on track to where America isn't this one big divided place that feels like it's fueled by a lot of negativity. But again, this is just my take. You know, I'm hopeful. I'm naive in that way, and I think Oliver has been super clear, especially with his breakout hit was about the big wigs and how they're pinning us all against each other. So I'm not surprised that this is his stance.
It goes back to what you said about mass manipulation, and also like we've all sort of lost our identity. That's why politics has become so prevalent in like the way people represent themselves to other people, and like, you know, that's like as our
and we've all lost our identity thanks to social media, because nobody knows who they are anymore because they're too busy trying to be whoever they see online. That's a big thing. My pastor talked about that in church this week, like, and as a Christian, I believe this. So I'm not telling you have to believe this, but this is absolutely what I believe, is that my identity is in Christ. I shouldn't have to be worried about what other people think of me. I should be trying to just live my best life through being the best version of myself by being a really good Christian. And I think so many people have lost sight of who they are, what they stand for, the things they really like, because they're too concerned and enthralled in what's going on their phones, and wanting to be like other people, or wanting to be agreeable, or wanting to be liked, or wanting to just agree with people because of what they look like and what they have, instead of doing their own research and looking at their world around them and the life that they actually live. Agree with that.
Themselves to other people, and like, you know, that's like as our culture and our tradition and like sort of the knowledge of where our families and all of that stuff comes from, like we're just little boats out in a big ocean, and we're looking for some kind of identity to reach out and grab. And politics, they make politics so easy to reach out and grab and make, just like in the same way that people just absorb themselves into sports.
Exactly.
You know, they're way out of shape, but they refer to their sports team as we. Like our defense did really
Jamie
good.
does that all the time. We won. Talks about a college.
Where I'm from.
Some college where he's from.
Well, that's maybe.
That's where I'm from.
Maybe if he's from there, though, then it doesn't count. But
these are such good points that, honest to goodness, I never even thought about. Like, even when you think, like how he said, like, knowing your roots and your lineage and having that family unit, those are the type of things that define people. And we are losing sight of that more and more and more and more every day. It's why, like, things like 23andMe and, like, Ancestry.com exist, because the family unit no longer is, like, passing down history and traditions and stories, and we don't even have like photo albums anymore, news clippings of events from family things, or, you know, and so all of that is becoming less and less normal, and so people really don't even have a like their DNA identity to attach to anymore. That's such a true thing. I never thought about that. I love this conversation already.
I'm just fucking around.
Yeah.
I'm not a team sports guy, you know. I'm a combat sports guy, and I would never say we won. Like if Kamaru Usman beats somebody, I never say we won. You know, Kamaru would call me up. What the fuck are you saying, man? You know what I did in camp? You know, I mean, rounds I sparred. You know.
Yeah, all the punches you took.
It's so crazy. But if there's a group of guys, you can say we.
But that's
so silly.
I see that, like, I just see that becoming more and more prevalent, where there's not, like, I don't know. It's sort of just like, it's kind of even to expand on the thought of it, it's even like the way that now we've all just sort of, we're all in these subcategories the way we would be if we were in prison. We're all like, you know, like in the same way that when we use the word black and white to describe, like, how many different types of white and black are there that all just get merged? It's like, it like creates this maybe like group identity that's a lot easier to control. Like,
for sure. Well, and then it shifts over time. Like, my family wasn't white. My family was Italian. They were disparaged when they first came to America from Europe. And my grandfather used to tell me terrible stories of what happened to him when he was a boy living in America as an Italian. They treated them the same way terribly racist people were treating people from Guatemala.
I was just about to say, like, black people joke all the time that, like, Italians are, well, black people I know, let me not group us all together, but I've heard many times from, like, black people, like, Italians are the black people of the white culture. Like, people joke about that all the time, but it's sad and it's true. It's like, so many different people were oppressed of so many backgrounds and so many colors. And it's just like, if you really stop to think about it, none of us belong here. None of us are the original beings of this land. And so we should all love on each other for that reason. It's like, me either.
They treated them the same way terribly racist people are treating people from Guatemala that sneak in here. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they sort of integrated, and now I'm white.
Yeah, now you're just a white person.
Now
And
I'm just a regular white.
but it's easy now in
white.
like in big public narrative and stuff it's a lot easier to accuse you and 30 other different nationalities of people who are all very culturally different and unique and just call all of you white people and then pick the worst thing that one of those nationalities did and just cast it among the whole group. But it happens with every ethnicity, every identity. The goal is to like put everyone in the world in one of 3 or 4 buckets and then hopefully figure out how to just put all of them into one bucket eventually. It's like it's so much easier to control 2 or 3 different types of people than it is 30 or 40 or 100 or 1,000, you know.
Which is also I think
Valid
why
point.
they never fix the problems that ail our inner cities. They want to keep that conflict. I really believe that. Because if somebody wanted to have a better, stronger economy, the first thing you would do is you want more people in the workforce. So you'd want...
I like the way that Joe put that, because so often you hear like systemic racism and all these things about lower income communities, but he said they want to keep why they like these communities are ailing. They're sick. They need help. And it's like the question from the interview with Charlie Kirk and Governor Newsom, where Charlie asked about, well, how come you were able to clean up, what was it, San Francisco so quickly when there were delegates coming into town? Why can't you do that any other time? Why can't you just clean up your city? Why can't that city just be cleaned up and refreshed and rebooted? Because we know it can happen. But I think Joe might be onto something where it's like, how can you have, okay, how do I want to phrase this? It feels like almost like you have to keep certain neighborhoods and people and demographics down because there has to be a hierarchy. There has to be a level. There has to be, classes. And if they fix all that and we're all on the same playing field, then we all have the same voice and we all have the same say. And they can't do that because the powers that be want to stay in power. Use your noodle.
Want less people that are disenfranchised, completely out of society, felons, all that stuff. That doesn't do anything but cost the country money, right? Unless you have private prisons. Now, in private prisons, those people become a business. And then that business contributes to the escalation of laws. And they want to make sure that laws stay in place because that way their business is always full. They have plenty of customers. Their customers are human beings that they turn into batteries to generate money. That's what it is. It's like those people, every person they have in there, they get more money, which is wild. Yeah. It's wild that we allow that. But then it's also like keeping a certain amount of crime in certain areas ensures that you're always going to have debates over law enforcement. You're always going to have conversations over we need DEI. We need this. We need quotas. We need to hire more people of this or of that, ignoring the fact that a lot of these things, especially with universities, are the most racist, especially towards Asians. They're racist as fuck towards Asians. There's lawsuits about it. Harvard, is that still going on, the Harvard lawsuit? Where they specifically made their application process, like the whole acceptance process, more difficult for Asians because they were kicking too much ass. They had too many like Asian people that were willing to fucking work their ass off, study 12 hours a day, get straight A's. They're like, man, there's too many of these folks. We got to make it tougher.
What did they do to make it more difficult specifically?
They attached a bunch of things. I believe the argument is they attached a bunch of things like social stuff. Like, how much do you engage in, activism? How often are you involved in, social activities on campus? What other things are you doing other than just pure academic work? They're like trying to slow them down. They're literally trying to slow them down.
God forbid a student is solely focused on their academics. And we're punishing them for that.
That's another great example too. Like even just that they can blanket Asian like that as such a like
it's Indian, it's Chinese. There's a lot of, but people that come from a hard place are willing to work hard.
Yeah,
that's the difference. And the problem with meritocracy is that some motherfuckers will go for it. And if you get a whole country of people going for it, that gets scary for the people that just want to take naps.
It's the same psychology that goes in, like in a lot of the smaller Appalachian towns, like where we recorded was really close to Bramwell, West Virginia. But if you look at even if you look at Bramwell, West Virginia, and their recent political history, like the last mayor they had, she embezzled money from the town, and there was and this isn't a very small town. So government corruption exists
everywhere.
And it almost is like maybe in those big cities, I understand definitely that I think things are intentionally neglected, like to create chaos and to create this, like you said, this need for more resources and more. But it's also just that maybe a lot of those people that are in positions are just very spineless and self-centered, and like they don't even care that people are dying in their streets. They're worried about the money that can be made and the ego and the power of it. It goes back to kind of what I said in that ARC speech about lack of leadership. I just see that like if we had people in big cities or in small Appalachian towns that had like a real backbone to them and like they were in a real position of like leadership where they wanted to fix things, that a lot of that stuff would get addressed and covered. But we just don't have the right people in power, maybe, even is what it is, even in local and state government.
The right people don't run. They don't want that job, man. They don't want that smoke. They don't want people attacking them. They don't want.
I don't even think that's all the way true. I think the right people don't make it to the the big races. Here in Buffalo, sorry, my computer had a little glitch. Here in Buffalo, there's so much activism here, but we have a lot of farmers markets and community activities, and all the time. Like I've probably signed maybe a handful of petitions nowadays, or put my signature on something that when it was brought to my attention I definitely cared about. But even most recently at the farmers market, I had a gentleman come up to me and he was running for mayor. And it's so like, for me as someone obviously who didn't grow up understanding politics the way I am learning to understand them now, it's very boots to the ground, starting from the bottom. And I don't know if he'll ever make it to the big race, but there are people out here who really care about the community. Like he was telling me like what he stands for and how he's from Buffalo. He's always been involved here, and he was so passionate. You could just tell, and he really cared, and he wanted to continue to talk to me, but I had my kids with me. I'm like, I gotta go. Like it didn't seem like he just wanted me to sign his petition to be put on the ballot, I believe. It was like he really wanted me to understand Buffalo and how great it was and why he wants to run. And those type of people are trying to get on the big ballots, but they're not making it because they're outfunded, they're out campaigned. It's like all those things. And the wrong people are the ones who have the money and can campaign really hard. And you know what I mean? It's really unfortunate. And it's just another part of what's broken. It's like, if we could just get back to people wanting to serve the people, and not machines and money wanting to make more machines and money. I said what I said.
On any of it, the right people are the people that don't want to be president.
It's almost like they've made these positions only appealing to people who are like sort of criminals, sociopaths or criminals. Yeah.
For real. Like who the fuck wants to run everything? You got to be crazy. Yeah. I don't even like running my whole house. Okay. I don't like having employees. It's too much. It's too much responsibility.
What do you think would happen if just some normal people ran the country, though? Like just some average Joes. Like, what if me and you just went and ran the? What if me if you ran for president? What would happen?
We would get killed. We'd get put in a fucking convertible.
They would definitely shoot. They would definitely be able to hit my big head. That's for sure. Yeah. They wouldn't.
My head's not that little either. You want a cigar?
Yeah. Let's do it.
people in power have always been horrible.
Yeah.
People, when they get
Historically.
unchecked power, have always been horrible. That's why directionally, like this whole no kings protest that's supposed to go down on Saturday, directionally, it's correct. Like, you don't want kings, you don't want oligarchs, but who's funding it?
Right.
Well, it turns out it's funded by an oligarch. It's funded by a lady worth $20 billion who's
really?
the
I
heiress
didn't
to
know that.
Walmart, who Walmart, a company that employs cheap labor and sells a lot of stuff from
I
China
did
that would be
not
affected
know
by
that.
tariffs. You know,
It's like that with
So
all.
it's all about intention and ulterior motives. That's literally what it's about. It's like Joe just said, like the no kings thing. Yeah, like we are a democracy. We don't want no kings around here. Like, cut it out. But I did not know this. And that speaks again, like, why would she want to fund that? Because it would benefit her and her pockets. Is what I don't know if that's her intention, but that's what one would think, right? I don't know.
All of them,
That's
though. It's like
It's like that with everything, man. Everything is like it presents as being this moral situation. Like they're really looking out for you. They're really looking out for people. They're never really looking out for people. There's always some primary profit motive that's causing any organized thing. It's never for the human race. Unless the people are all on mushrooms. It's never for the human race. And until mushrooms get legalized, that's probably never going to happen. And that's the real battle. The real battle is what gets legal first, AI or mushrooms. You know?
Yeah, it's
Both of us will lead towards God. Both of them will lead towards God, but one with a completely different outcome.
It's going to take me like 4 or 5 times listening to it to be able to talk about it. But I've went back and listened to the maps of meaning on Audible, and it's one of Jordan's earlier works, you know, and he's talking about society and how it's structured, and basically talks about like the motivations and the origins of why people always resort to evil, you know, like in this. I mean, we talk so much about the Holocaust, but not at all about all the other horrible tragedies that happened there at the same time. But even like talking about with Russia, like just think about the Soviet Union and what happened there, and how easily people were turned against. It's just this little moment in time we're in is just so, we should just be so thankful for it, even though it is mass chaos right now. Like the fact that people are allowed to speak freely and do things and have the influence and power they do is just nuts when you think about. You're right. I mean, it's the same crazy people that we're arguing about today have always existed in different forms and with different names and faces.
But we're better off today than anybody else in human history. And this is a struggle and it is a battle. But I think we can come out of this on the other side if we all realize that we're being played against each other. And that's where it's important. You know, when you're paying people to protest, you're leaving pallets of bricks around and you're organizing the whole thing and you're shipping people in on buses and you're making sure that all the people show up at a certain amount of time and they're all compensated and you give them water and snacks. Like, we got to realize what's going on here. This is not for you. When you light your city on fire and you burn cop cars, it's never good. It's not good for you. It's not good for the cause. They're not going to change the laws. One thing that I heard from Trump today that I thought was very promising is that he wants to make an executive order where people that are here for a long time, that have been like working on farms, that are undocumented, that they won't be targeted and that they'll be exempt from all this stuff. This is my feeling. Like if you got here and you've integrated into our society, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have snuck in, but you did it and you're not breaking any laws. You're a hardworking person. Those people need a path to citizenship, man. Because if you don't, then they're just preyed upon by people that will take advantage of the fact that they're undocumented and not pay them what they're legally supposed to pay them and not give them benefits if they're legally supposed to have benefits. And they can't say anything because they're worried that immigration is going to get called on them. So these people are in this constant state of anxiety. And then they hear about the ICE raids, like at Home Depot. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
there was a big ICE raid at the Facebook data center job not far from my place where I used to have to go when I was at
Facebook data center ICE raid?
Yeah, at the Facebook project. It's in
What?
it's not far from me in Virginia. I think it's technically would it be South Boston? I think it's technically in
ICE
South
didn't
Boston.
bribe, or Facebook didn't bribe ICE?
There's
if I
a-
was Facebook, I would have fucking bought ICE some new cars.
There's a big job site that I used to have to go on that's in the southern part of Virginia, like not far from North Carolina. And somebody was sending me pictures there from the other day, but they had a big ICE raid and there was dudes like running through people were just escaping the job, like running away from the job and stuff. It was nuts. But
Why? Like gang members, yes. Criminals, yes. Why? Like, I think as crazy as it sounds, the only way to do this and look like you have a heart is evaluate people on a case-by-case basis. Like, there's
But that
good
would
people.
take too much time and too much money. So why would they do that? All right. Leave your comments down below. As always, there's no need to be ugly or rude. Just leave your opinion. I love opinions. All right? Go and have the day you deserve. Bye.